Welcome to episode number 32 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is Dr. Games 101.
What up, people?
We're starting an hour later than normal because All Elite Wrestling was airing Dynamite tonight. They were preempted from their normal Wednesday time slot because of the hockey games, which is why we're starting an hour later. But since we started talking about wrestling, there is actually something I've been wanting to cover with you, even though it's not gaming related.
Of course.
But it's something I do want to bring up.
And what's that?
Because I've tried to get you to watch AEW Dynamite. You get TNT where you live, right?
I have to go to the living room for it. My room has another cable service, so I canceled
Okay.
it 5 years ago when the wrestling was very popular among the cable. Meaning that Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, all these shows were on part of the cable package that I signed up for. But after 2017, 2018, all of them just went different ways. They went to some rare HD system or satellite channel. I'm like, what's the point? And at the time, Xbox One had the feature where you watch TV and play games at the same time on the same screen. That feature's no longer there anymore, especially after when Xbox Elite and Xbox Series S came out, because you don't have that.
Yeah, I don't get that. Why Xbox is removing features? Because when you streamed on Twitch through Xbox One, you could see the comments that came up. I think you just had to hit the Xbox button, but now you can't do that either.
Yeah,
it's like, why are you taking features away? You know, the whole thing would be a whole lot better if you left those features in.
Yeah, but I heard what someone told me. Well, it's my confidant again, my gaming confidant. I had to call him. He's enjoy gaming again. He told me many months, if not a couple years back, that the reason why they stopped the feature because of some frame rate issue with the main screen. So if let's say you want to go watch YouTube while playing Call of Duty, your frame rate on the Call of Duty screen will be slowed down by about 5 frames per second at the most. But that's very rare. Not everyone has that experience before, that problem before. Even myself, I don't have that experience. Now, the other way around is where YouTube's screen or Internet Explorer screen or whatever the secondary screen is, it slows down by about 5 frames as well. So it's kind of like, like a hit and miss. So you can't have it all. I'd rather have that screen within the screen than to have nothing at all. Because I'm paying good money. I pay $50, $60 a year for Xbox, and I'm still doing this. I want to do it next month again. So,
right, and I mean, yeah. So it just sucks that they're taking features away. 5 frames per second. Honestly, that's really not too noticeable. Doesn't sound like it would be noticeable, but and I get it. It also depends on your internet connection. If you have broadband or fiber optics, it'll run a lot faster than, say, you'll be able to do a lot more than if you were still using dial-up for some reason.
Yeah.
But I just wish, it's like one thing if the feature, didn't work for many people. It should be there for people who have fast enough internet speeds that it can be there anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, like I said, I wanted to talk about this first, just spur of the moment. Also, wrestling has gone pretty much. It really depends what you want to watch. Is where you have to go. WWE's on USA and Fox at the moment. I don't know for how much longer, especially since their ratings are in the crapper. Impact Wrestling, they're airing. They have their shows on Access TV. If you don't have Access TV, you can pay $1 a month to their YouTube channel and watch Impact on YouTube.
Okay.
Ring of Honor, they have their Sinclair network. I think Sinclair Network owns the wrestling company.
Right.
So they also own the distribution rights, and I think Sinclair Network, since they own the company, they broadcast their company on their network. All Elite Wrestling's on TNT. They're going to be moving their main flagship show to TBS at the beginning of next year.
TBS, alright.
while having their secondary show still be on TNT. Um, but the thing is, I told you, I've been telling you, you gotta watch, you should watch All Elite Wrestling, you should watch an episode. And the thing is, you kind of give me the answer, and correct me if I'm wrong, your answer felt like it was, you fell out of sorts with WWE, as most people have.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, if I fell out of sorts with WWE, how do I know I would join I would enjoy All Elite Wrestling or any other wrestling for that matter? Is that valid to what you said?
It's more like trying to. It's almost like the standard of the world of wrestling is about ice cream, right? And every different brand of wrestling brand has like different ice cream flavor. So it's kind of like I had vanilla with WWE. Well, they say it's going to be Rocky Road or chocolate chip cookie dough, whatever, with AEW. Now that's you're right to some extent. That's how I feel with that battle. Like I feel like I'm going to have the same experience eventually with AEW because let's face it, AEW is like the new guy in the block. So TNA is one thing. TNA I could deal with watching them every now and then if I could find where they watch. But you told me that they were moving all over the place for the last couple of months or so. So it's hard to find them. But with AEW, yes, I can watch them. They're pretty good. They got Chris Jericho. They got Juvenile Guerrera.
Well, that Juvenile Guerrera was a one-time thing.
It's a one-time. Okay, never mind.
But they got Cody Rhodes, a bunch of wrestlers that got fired from WWE. Many of them are trying to get jobs at AEW.
That's good.
Even though Tony Khan said we can't take everyone that wants to leave WWE.
Yeah. Maybe it's my age is talking because obviously I'm currently going back to school this Monday. Not any given time this Monday because it's an online class, so it's like I can't stay around watching wrestling. I can watch wrestling at nighttime, obviously, but it's a different atmosphere, different time, different place. It's not the year 2001 where everyone was watching wrestling back then. All of our high school students, junior high school classmates, hell, even the teachers watch wrestling, if I recall correctly. But that was like 20 years ago. Now it's like, it's about softy, touchy, feely, like, oh, no violence, no video game violence, no nothing like that these days. And it's like, I don't want to be around. Not be around wrestling, but the way things been put up for the last several years, from WWE's going from PG since 2008, was very disappointed in my factor of watching wrestling.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. You're taking that's the way I felt. You were taking something that WWE does, and claims every other network does. Claims every other wrestling company is doing that. You want to talk about PG? That match between Chris Jericho and Nick Gage with the light tubes and everything was not PG.
Light tubes? You serious?
Yeah, when Nick Gage was smashing light tubes on top of Chris Jericho, you don't remember that?
Oh yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah. That's not PG.
But it's too hot for TV sometimes. Depends on what you watch.
But the point that I was making is, I want to use soda as an example. Say you, I don't know if you will remember this, but remember years ago when Coca-Cola came out with New Coke and everyone hated it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's like you trying out New Coke, hating it, and saying, you know what, I'm not drinking soda ever again. I know there's Pepsi out there, I know RC Cola's out there, but if New Coke sucks, why should I even bother trying Pepsi and RC Cola? And it's like, because they're different companies. They have different recipes.
I don't know. Like I said, it could be my age. I'm 34 right now, and my birthday was over a month and a half ago. So things change. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I hate wrestling or I hate watching sports altogether. It's just that, like, with the political messaging out there about the Black Lives Matter, and I'm not saying I hate Black lives or I hate my own kind or my own people or whatever, but it's just that all this political stuff, it should have been done like 20 years ago, and now it's like at least 10 years ago. But now it's like okay, now everyone's pushing that message on sports. Soon wrestling will interfere because back in 2012, 2013, if you were well aware of this, a year before we started talking again for some while, back in 2013, they had this We the People pack or We the People group, whatever, and it was about illegal immigrants and stuff like that. It was political, which I liked about it at first because they brought about the message or the forefront of the issue in the United States of illegal immigration. But now it was something with the Black Lives Matter. It just seems out of touch or out of place. It depends on how many people watch wrestling, how much they watch it, and I guess you say wrestling is more like one of those family shows now. It's not like it's for us young adults going into adulthood now.
I don't know, because you got Game Changer Wrestling, where Nick Gage usually wrestles out of. All Elite Wrestling actually had trouble with one of their advertisers after Nick Gage used a pizza cutter on Chris Jericho, because the network, because when All Elite Wrestling has a match in progress and they have to go commercial, they do the picture-in-picture thing.
Oh, yes.
And they just happened to be running a Domino's ad the same time Nick Gage used a pizza cutter on Chris Jericho. And I heard Domino's got a big upstink about they wanted to pull their advertising.
Oh, come on! That's such weak. That's a good thing. Pizza cut on the head. Pizza on live on TV.
Yeah. So on one half of the screen you saw Domino's advertising their pizza. On the other half of the screen you saw Nick Gage running a pizza cutter across the top of Chris Jericho's forehead.
Perfect advertisement. What do you expect? I mean, that's what I hate about this. Is one of the reasons why I don't want to pursue too much in being a hugely rich, famous person at this time of my life, because people think I'm some sort of over critical asshole because I talk too much or I have critical thinking or whatever. That's how I feel about certain people online. But that's what I'm hearing, or at least what they told me directly, at least that. And you're right. There are times where people just start to, see something from a different perspective that you don't see, and they use it against you. That's what happens when we deal with the cancel culture today.
I have to ask you, when you have a free time, say you have you had a lot of free time recently, do you still watch wrestling from the Attitude Era, 97, 98, 99, when you're
purposely. My goal, here's what happened back before I threw out all my wrestling tapes because of Hulk Hogan's, scandal.
Right.
Before that happened, my goal was to collect all pay-per-views from 1998 and 2002 of the Attitude Era. And thank goodness I didn't throw on every single one of them, but I could recollect them. I was collecting also pay-per-views after 2002 when there's hardcore matches, special matches like TLC matches, tables, ladders, and chairs matches, you name them, street fights, that type of stuff. Especially between 1998 and 2002, with Shane McMahon, Kurt Angle, Booker T,
right.
The Rock, the Armageddon the Cell. Dude, that particular Armageddon 2000 event, that cost at least $100 to buy a DVD, brand new.
Oh wow!
But the Armageddon 1999 I got for about $5-10 for a VHS. So, it was pretty good. Vince McMahon versus Triple H, pretty good.
Yeah.
So, it was like I'm collecting the past more than the present. And that's where most of my time is.
But the past is more entertaining to watch.
Yes. That's why I don't see me watching too much AEW. Even if it's a different brand, different company, different goals they have in mind to bring the audience together and stuff. But, it's not the same like it once was 20 years ago. That's what I feel like,
It's never going to be the same.
Yes.
It's just like right before the Attitude Era, but the mid '90s when it wasn't the Hogan era, but it wasn't the Attitude Era yet. It was that space in between. WWE was calling it the New Generation Era. Mm-hmm. I bet you there were fans who were saying, Hogan's not there, Macho Man's not there anymore. Ultimate Warrior's not there, I bet there were people like that, who said, the guys I watched, 5-10 years ago, they're not there, so this is boring.
Oh yes.
And then I bet you a bunch of those guys came back when the Attitude Era came.
Oh yeah.
And then when the Attitude Era was over.
And then wrestlers like Sergeant Slaughter, he came back in 2003 to go up against Test before he died years later. Test, the wrestler. So he's dead
Who
now.
went up
Test.
against him?
Yeah, I think Sergeant Slaughter also was passed too. That's a while ago.
Yeah, well, the point I was trying to make is, like, the Attitude Era got a lot of people back. And listen, it's been 20 years, and a hot era like that, it's never going to happen. But then again, since, WCW and ECW died, there have been these companies. Impact survives year by year. I hope they're in the black now. Mm-hmm. For a long time, they were losing money instead of making money. But All Elite Wrestling is owned by Tony Khan. His father owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Tony Khan probably has more money than Vince McMahon at his disposal.
He's a billionaire, basically, like Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
He's bigger billionaire, a lot larger. The football is more popular than the wrestling, I heard.
Yeah, but then you got other companies, like you said. There's Ring of Honor, which I never saw. No, I saw one episode of Ring of Honor in New York, but it's got some syndication on Fox around where I live now. Like if I turn on Fox in the afternoon, like on Saturday or Sunday, I usually see Ring of Honor wrestling.
Really? For Fox 5 or Fox altogether?
It's not Fox 5. I don't even know what Fox is on here because usually I'm just flipping through the channels.
Okay, so let's do the regular Fox then from as part of the channel.
What will be Fox 5 in New York will be Fox 31 somewhere else.
I'm so used to Fox 5 because we have that here in New York City.
Right.
Last time you were here, so.
But anyway, so like you got Ring of Honor on syndication, Major League Wrestling. I think they have their own YouTube channel now.
Okay.
Billy Corgan's NWA used to be on YouTube, but they got a deal with I think Fight TV. But hey, Billy Corgan said YouTube wasn't a long time thing. It was just something to hold him over until he could find a network that would give him a 1 hour spot every week. So the point is, at least what I like about wrestling from now instead of then is you got all these companies. You can't find work in WWE or WWE doesn't want to treat you right. You got a whole bunch of companies, and all those companies I named are just in the United States. That's not counting Mexico. That's not counting Japan, which also has companies. AAA and CMLL are in Mexico. New Japan Pro Wrestling and other promotions are in Japan. Even if you couldn't find work in the States as a wrestler, you could go over there.
Oh yes.
So that's one great thing about today. There's so many more options, so it's not like you just have WWE, WCW, and ECW.
Yeah. And the way the wrestlers been treated, as of late, too, for the last at least 5 years. In my opinion, that is in perspective, because back in 2015, you heard about that story with Hulk Hogan saying the N-word in one of his sex tapes or whatever the fuck he was doing. That's his personal life, in his own house, in his damn house. Like, let him speak his word in his own house. Like, he want to say the N-word, he want to say bitch, hole, whatever, go right ahead. But don't tell a man not to speak his mind in his own castle or his own house, I like that.
So I have to. So you weren't offended when Hulk Hogan was caught saying the N-word like that?
Not necessarily, because it's just he's from an era where segregation was still around. So it's like he's not like some total racist bigot. I'm sure he hangs around other people. Like, who's that guy he was hanging around with during the 1980s WrestleMania? Mr. T and all.
Yeah.
They hang out soon afterwards.
Yeah.
That conflict. I'm recording right now, Debbie. Sorry about that, guys. So basically, what I was trying to say is that between Hulk Hogan and Mr. T during WrestleMania, 1, 2, or 3, one of those WrestleManias.
WrestleMania 1.
Okay.
But Mr. T came back for 2 boxing match against Roddy Piper.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, it's one of the best things since happiest ever in wrestling history. But then all of a sudden, for the last 5 years, the treatment of wrestlers and saying that they're racist or they're bigoted, they're misogynist, you're emasculating what's the backbone of a wrestling sport altogether. You can't just be like telling these wrestlers that, oh, you gotta be sensitive and kind and stuff like that. Because if you work out at a gym for 3 hours a day, 4 days a week, you feel like a motherfucker. You wanna like you want to get out there, not fight, but the energy that you develop over time. Because I was trying to pursue to be a wrestler for a few months, like during my summer time, because I was like, let me try out this wrestling, this athletic routine where I go to the gym for a couple of hours and then ride a bike for 15 miles and then jog for about an hour or two and stuff like that, And it's like I'm trying to do all that stuff, and it's like, man, this is tiring. But I felt alive more. I felt like I want to take on the world more. Like I'm not saying I'm just all over the place with the emasculation and stuff like that. But it's just that you can't tell guys just to be kind, because that's what keeps them alive. That's how it is, especially in athletic sports.
Well, the whole thing is I think what most people were upset with the New Day in WWE even touched on this is when Hulk Hogan was caught saying it, instead of coming out and apologizing for it, he just tried to defend it. Problem is, everything that comes out of Hulk Hogan's mouth is a lie.
Okay.
Like Hulk Hogan said in the 1980s when he became a wrestler, he actually had to choose between either that or being the lead guitarist for Metallica.
No way.
Metallica came up and said, we never talked about Hulk Hogan joining the band.
You lie like that? Oh, wow. Does he know that there's an internet out there? I just said 1989. That's 90, but,
Unfortunately, if Hulk Hogan's like tooting his own horn, you really have to check up on what he says, because
I mean, you see, I have Hulk Hogan behind me. I looked up to the guy when I was a kid. That was the best time. Yeah. So it's like,
unfortunately, he lies almost every chance he gets now.
So he's full of shit now.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I mean, that was pretty weird when Metallica came out and said, we never talked about Hogan joining our band. What is he talking about?
But does he play guitar, Hulk Hogan? At least that.
I really don't. I guess he does.
I don't remember this either.
Well, he did play guitar one time, but I don't know, like, if he was actually playing guitar or if they had, like, music on in the background.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's possible he does, but...
But yeah, I will definitely try to do my best to watch more of AEW, at least that brand, for a few weeks to a few months. It really depends on my time that I have available to myself, because during the daytime it's about school or uploading to YouTube, whatever. The nighttime is the time that I just play by myself or hang out with friends online, whatever. Because I'll be with those guys for a few hours at a time, so that can happen too. That factor, because most of the gamers on Xbox Live, they're not into wrestling, and they never were.
Right.
And it sucks,
But many people I don't even talk to on Xbox Live anymore. Usually, it's the only time I talk with them is if we're joined in an online game together, like if we're working together on the Division or something.
Okay.
Speaking of which, I know we talked about different brands of wrestling. The first topic I actually have planned for the podcast was about WWE 2K. WWE released a lot of wrestlers over the past 12 months. Between 20 and 2021, they released over 100 wrestlers.
Damn, that's a lot of wrestlers.
Huh?
That's a lot of wrestlers to be released.
Yeah. And the thing is, they were planning DLC for WWE 2K22, which is coming out in March. One of the wrestlers was Bronson Reed, who was the NXT North American champion. He was one of the most recent wrestlers cut.
Okay.
Now they're saying, well, we can't the whole reason this game's been hard to develop is because they keep cutting guys, and we can't have guys that are cut in our game unless, because they still get royalties if they appear in the game, whether or not they were cut from the company beforehand. So, this most recent cut that included Bronson Reed screwed up their DLC plans.
Okay.
For WWE 2K22. So WWE 2K said we're forgetting about the DLC. The DLC's dead and buried. What we're gonna start doing is jumping to an how did they word this? They will jump to a live update service where the roster will be periodically updated through downloadable updates.
Okay.
Do you think that's better to Do you think it's better to do it this way through a live update service instead of DLC?
I think, well, for those who wants to have collector type of style of gaming, like you want to collect as much games as possible on a physical level, because if you leave it as a live update service, then eventually that game will start to be useless to play after a while. No matter how many updates you have after so many times of how many years, once so that service has been shut down, the game itself is rendered useless, and you need something to update it or to keep it freshen itself so that we can still play it. But if it's just a built-in game like those previous games back, like PlayStation 1 and the 64, those type of systems, you don't have to get updates. That's what I hate about games like Destiny, games like Rockstar games like what's that called? What's that new game that came out? If I recall correctly. Oh, the GTA 5 PS5 update that requires constant update as well. Oh, sure, they do the same for PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox 360 especially. Definitely those systems as well, but it's not as much. It's like I can't explain it because with older games in the past, you just get the full package. They spend years upon years making the craft, sell it for about $50, and they'll make millions of dollars from those copies based upon how much good performance is. Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, Heavy Rain, games like Last of Us Part 1. Those they made a damn good certain job to make sure those games are good in its package before selling it. With live services, you just like, put it this one for this week, put that one next 2 weeks, and everyone can go fuck themselves with gamers and stuff like that. That's how I feel. Because you're telling me that I have to keep on paying for something online, which I'm doing right now with Xbox One. Xbox, you can thank Microsoft for that. To pay every month for a live service in order to play your games online. Because PC games wasn't like that back in 1990s. So. Well,
the thing is, what separates this from like action games or action adventure games is when the new WWE game would come out, the roster would normally be heavily outdated as soon as the game released. What this live update service will do, which will probably be a monthly fee or whatever, is when new wrestlers join the roster as a part of the actual roster, not a one night deal thing, these wrestlers will be there to use. I don't know if they'll disappear if they get fired from the company while the updates are running. But they're saying instead of having to pay $20 for the Nexus pack, pay this monthly service, and Nexus will automatically be loaded into the game the next time the game updates. That's what they're doing, and it honestly, I think it's a good move because you can only offer so much DLC.
Yes.
And especially if the game has a 1 year shelf life before you move on to the next thing. Like WWE games would be released in October or November. All the DLC would be out by January.
No later than March.
And then from January to October there'd be no more DLC, and then October, November would be a new WWE game. This update service.
if I may add on, especially since with SmackDown games, because if you think about it, SmackDown Shuts Your Mouth, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. Between those two games, we are supposed to have Rey Mysterio in at least Shut Your Mouth. But here's the thing though, like you said, they're generally outdated way beforehand. They're outdated as early as July, if not June of the year post of the new game post release. So Rey Mysterio came in at the wrong time or the late timing for the roster pick. So.
Just since you brought up SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth. Tommy Dreamer was supposed to be in the game too.
Oh yeah, he's a year contract after the Alliance and all. Those rest supposed to all be in there. Yeah.
And the company, I think it was THQ who made it. They said we honestly just ran out of time. We forgot to add Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
But they said everything you need to create him, including his license plate hardcore title, is in the Creator Wrestler mode if you really want to create him.
And they say with Rey Mysterio as well.
Yeah, and then, Jeff Hardy was cut from out of the company in 2000 when SmackDown Here Comes the Pain came out.
Yes.
But that was him leaving the company in real life, not... Like, he was, like, in the trailer for the game.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, when the game came out, he was removed from the game because he was no longer with the company. He had went to Impact Wrestling for the first time.
And also Matt Hardy's brand of the Attitude Era started, so that started to increase his popularity since Matt Hardy himself when he won the Cruiserweight title at WrestleMania.
Yep.
I was in WrestleMania 2003, which is WrestleMania 20 or WrestleMania 19.
No,
19.
I think let me think. Yeah, you're right. 2003 is when Matt Hardy was becoming a cruiserweight.
Mm-hmm.
I still have the No Way Out 2003 and somewhere in there.
Yeah.
That was actually a good show. It was much better than I expected. Like even the match.
I was expecting Nathan Jones to team with The Undertaker, but I heard rumor has it that it wouldn't look right with The Undertaker streak. So.
Well, I just think he wasn't ready, but he was really never given the opportunity to show if he was ready or not.
Yes.
That's what I heard, that they just felt he wasn't ready, so they took him out beforehand. But then he just never came back. Or he came back and then he was out just as quick again.
Yeah, I never heard of him after 2004. It was like, just...
Yeah.
Lord.
Yep.
Last
you heard he got injured like in the 2004 Royal Rumble, and then you never heard about him again.
Oh, that sucks.
It's like the cat from Ernest Miller from WCW. he had 2 matches on SmackDown. He was in the 2004 Royal Rumble at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. He was in the 15-man SmackDown Royal Rumble when Chris Benoit jumped from SmackDown to Raw, and SmackDown needed a number 1 contender for the February pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
And then you never saw him again.
Yes.
Then they started some storyline where he angered Vince McMahon because he put his hands on Sable and like forced her to dance with them. And then after that like segment, you never saw him again. If you did, it was on Velocity being a commentator.
Pretty much. That's what he's been doing for the last several months after.
And then you never saw him. And then after Velocity stopped airing, you never. But anyway, back to.
And he's a young guy, technically speaking. He's like in his late 40s, early 50s. You know.
Yeah, maybe he just saw that. Well, I don't think he's even done anything since he left WWE, so he probably just wanted out. He probably just wanted to retire.
You must have heard way ahead of time what they were about to do for a few years.
Yeah, so because you never hear about the cat Ernest Miller now.
Who knows about him anyway? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. All that time in WCW, really didn't elevate him to a star.
And WWE supposed to elevate him to some kind of popularity with his dancing, when somebody calls Mama shit, And Brodus Clay, which AKA is Tyrus, he took over that Somebody Calls Mama, theme song and shit.
Well, before that, before Brodus Clay came, Xavier Woods was using that theme song.
Okay.
Oh wait, No, I think Xavier Woods was after Brodus Clay. Yeah, because NXT had stopped the game show format. Yeah, that was criminal what they did to Brodus Clay, though.
What happened?
Well, in NXT season 4, back when they were doing the game show thing, Brodus Clay was looked at like a bodyguard. He started out with Ted DiBiase Jr. They had a battle royal where if you won, you could change and pick a different professional as your mentor. Brodus Clay won, and he dumped Ted DiBiase Jr. and went with Alberto Del Rio. He picked, so he was kind of like a bodyguard. If someone someone he was aligned to needed muscle, they just call on Brodus Clay. He's and then when he won the contract, they kept him off Raw for so long, and then when they brought him in, they completely changed his gimmick from being this badass bodyguard that could beat anyone up to this overweight dancer. What on paper even about that sounds great?
At least hang around those two hot chicks, Yeah. That's pretty good. That was his second settlement package.
Naomi is still there.
Yeah.
She's married to one of the Usos.
Okay.
Cameron, I don't know whatever happened to her. They probably just released her.
They're very athletic. They do the splits and all. I'm like, I want to get with her. Get with them.
I don't know about Cameron, but Naomi, the darker one, she was, I think, a cheerleader for like the Jazz or the Heat in basketball before she came to professional wrestling, which explains her athleticism.
Yes, the splits and all.
But anyway, back to WWE 2K. I think the live update service is great. It's a good idea because it's going to keep the rosters fresh more than it would if they just released a few packs of DLC. So I think the live update service is a good thing. We even talked about this in Madden. Why couldn't they have an update the roster feature instead of having to release the game every single year?
Yeah.
So I think an updated roster would be a good thing. Obviously, it's probably going to cost money. I just hope they don't delete wrestlers off the game once they're no longer there. Like, if they were programmed in, just leave them in.
It probably going to end up just like with Netflix and Amazon service, because Netflix at one point they were adding moves over and over, but they keep like deleting, updating, removing, then upload again, and it's like, it's same with the live service with the by looks of things. They're probably going to do the same thing. It'll be like, we're going to have the Uso brothers for 1 week, then delete that after a month from now, and then add Hulk Hogan as a special, 50th, 30th anniversary. Was it the 50th anniversary of WWE or some shit like that? The WWE programming itself. They can have something like that for that kind of.
I don't think they're gonna do that. I think like as long as someone's under contract, they're still gonna be in the game, obviously. But like, take Kevin Owens, whose contract ends in January.
Okay.
If he's in the final release of the game, let's just say, I don't know if live updates are going to remove him if he does leave WWE. Which, by the way, he's also,
They're not going to do that because of the royalty part, because they want to save money from it. Because my example, it's may change the topic, but it's similar to like apples and oranges. I'm trying to start an invention program through a program for a company called Event Help. They tell me that if I want to get incentives from a success, whatever, I have to provide some sort of one of those licenses and then registrations of the invention. So once I get my money from college, I can use half of that to pay for the legal discretions or the legal papers and stuff like that. Stage 2, which is the creation of the invention, that costs more money. So as like that example, it's like that with the wrestling company, stuff like that. Like they want to incentivize the wrestler, but if there's no benefit for the company itself, why should they? Hence, that's when they're going to get rid of those guys, whoever leave the company after January 2022. Which is like Kevin Owens. That's my prediction is going to be based on what you're explaining about this game, because I really hate live services after a while because if you want to put it into the example of the movies and TV shows of Netflix and Amazon Instant Video, they used to be the head honchos in that. Now it's like every, what is it called, Peacock and Paramount and Disney and ESPN, and messing it up for these companies because they used to be able to watch any Marvel movie, any Back to the Future movie, Tremors. That was a big thing. Had like say there's like 7 movies out of that ending. They got rid of the
6
first
movies
movie.
last I checked.
Almost 7. I heard there was the newest one was like 2019, 2018, and
I've only seen 6 of them.
okay, so this is the newest one was like 2019, 2018, give or take.
Yeah.
But the Tremors, the first 3 of them you were to see on Netflix, and I finally watched the first 2, finally. But then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ones that came out, it's like where are they? You know, it's ridiculous. I'm just saying this as an example. So.
Right, but the thing is, if you're going to update the roster in anything sports-wise, any sport, basketball, football, hockey, whatever, you got 2 choices, either through DLC or through live update. And honestly, obviously a factor is going to be how much this live update service costs if it is every month. But I'd much rather have a live update giving me roster changes instead of having a new wrestling game released every year like Madden does with their football license. All right, next topic. Alan Wake is remastered, is coming to current gen and last gen consoles. Last gen being PS4 and Xbox One. What do you? Now I know you just got Alan Wake for the 360.
Yes, that came with the Quantum Break package that I bought for $8.
So, are you going to be going after Alan Wake Remastered, or is this one remastered pack you're going to sit out?
I want to sit out because Alan Wake already got. The only thing they got to add on is more missions, more special effects or 4K especially, 4K rendering and ray tracing, all that stuff. I don't need all that stuff. To me, as a gamer, yes, I can be a technical type of gamer at first or at times, but there are times where I just become like a simple, just want to sit home, come home from a day's hard work of school or work or whatever, and just play simple games. That's all I want to do right now. I don't have time to keep updating every generation of gaming of whatever the game is. It could be Resident Evil 6, 5, and 4. They kept being switched over from, especially Resident Evil 4, if you recall correctly.
Yeah.
They had also on PC, PS2, Wii U,
GameCube.
yeah, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now it's gonna be on Xbox Series X and X. I bet, and PS5 as well. Resident Evil 4. Why should I get it every so often?
Yeah.
I can always get. I already have the PS2 edition, which should be the best edition so far, but just to get the better HD quality for the Xbox One, I think about buying it for about $10 if it's on sale. Right now, they're selling it for $20. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna get it either, only because I already completed Alan Wake, the base game.
Yes.
I do have the first pack of DLC content on my Xbox 360. Unfortunately, my 360 doesn't work. I think a lot of dust is in the system, which is blocking the light that reads the disc when it's inside. For some reason, my 360 has a lot of trouble reading disc.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the first pack of DLC is in this 360. And I would need the Alan Wake game to access it. But yeah, I'm not, especially, it wouldn't be worth it full price just to get Alan Wake again, especially when I completed the game.
Yeah.
Like I said,
don't get us wrong, guys. Whoever's out there, don't get us wrong that we have a different opinion, but it's just that me personally, I don't see Alan Wake as like one of those. It's one of the one of the best games of the 360 era. Don't get me wrong, but after that, it's like we already experienced it. We already had the hype. Especially with American Nightmare, which is the follow-up of Alan Wake. That one was all right. I played a demo of it, so it's all right. So
that's actually one I never played.
It's all right. It's similar to the first Alan Wake, just that it's more challenging, if you want to call it like that.
Okay. Yeah, so Alan Wake Remastered. If you never played Alan Wake on when it was on the 360, and it's like I said, I heard it's coming out for PS4, Xbox One, PS5, Xbox Series. If you never played it on the 360, I definitely recommend you get Alan Wake Remastered. But I'm just not getting it because I already beat the base game. The only time I would go back to it is for the DLC, and then that would be another expense if I bought it, say, on my Xbox One.
Oh yeah.
So, Alan Wake Remastered, great. You know, the original Alan Wake game was awesome. I enjoyed playing it all the way through. Wish Dr. Games 101 would make more episodes of him playing through it. Because you only released that one episode, right?
Pretty much. I just started earlier this year, so.
But anyway, yeah, so if you want my recommendation, it's a great game. But the only reason I'm not getting it is because I did end up beating the base game. Next one, this was I just found out information about this today. The Grand Theft Auto trilogy, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas, they released the release dates and prices. Now, it's supposed to be coming to all systems, so we'll probably even be able to get it on PS4 and Xbox One. It's gonna be coming out November 11th digitally, and it's coming out on physical media December 7th. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, it's going to be a full $60.
Right.
Do you plan to get the new Grand Theft Auto trilogy even at full price?
Why not? It's worth it. It's remastered. It's in 4K. They explain that's going to be ray tracing. Again, I can say what Alan Wake. Because this ray tracing stuff is very different, a different era of gaming, visually, that is. So even though I don't have the technicalities on my TV to do these 4K ray tracing, it's good when I get the 4K television in my room one day. And with PS5, it's going to be for another, at least 7 years in this cycle. So I got time. And I'm going to buy it most likely for the PS5, because that's the home of the console of the GTA's, is the, it's Sony and Rockstar, so.
Not really. I mean, it's jumped to multi-platform when Grand Theft Auto 4 came out.
But still, like the GTA San Andreas, GTA Vice City, and GTA 3, they were all on PlayStation 1 mainly.
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2, sorry. Mainly on PlayStation 2, excuse me. I'm screwing myself with the numbers, I know. That's how confusing this thing is after a while. It's like PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5. I was like, okay, that's so simple. But then when you mix the Xbox around, that's screwed. This completely ruining my chronological thinking.
Really, I don't know why they didn't just after the Xbox 360. I don't know why they just didn't go to 720, 1080, 1440, 4K. You know,
Xbox 4K. Now that'd be nice.
Or whatever key they were up to graphics-wise when the new one came out.
Yeah.
But maybe they were screwed themselves if they did that, because the Xbox 360's been out for 10 years. Hey guys, our new Xbox console is the Xbox 540. Yes, we know it's not a big upgrade in graphics. Buy it anyway.
Yeah. But I did say it publicly in the comment section of one of the YouTube videos. Either it was one of the YouTube gamers I comment on. I said I'm willing to spend $75 for one copy of the physical, especially physical copy of the GTA remaster. So.
Okay, I'm not gonna get it only because like again with Alan Wake, I beat the story mode. I never ended up getting all the collectibles in any of these games. But when it came to 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, I completed the story.
Yes.
Did all the story missions. But, so, and the graphics, they look great. They look, it looks like a completely different game. You wouldn't even, but then again, we're talking about games, San Andreas came out in '04.
Yes.
It's, so the graphics look great. Obviously get it if you never played these games. I don't know what rock you were hiding under. If you were a gamer when these games originally came out.
If you're under 15 years old, you're not going to know about those GTA games.
Well, the thing is, you can't even buy Grand Theft Auto games unless you have an adult with you, or if you're at least 17.
We're the last generations to not have an ID to buy a mature game. Remember that? Remember back there in FuncoLand years where you just walk in FuncoLand and they'll ask you for your ID or for if you're 18 or older for the game.
Oh, when I was in FuncoLand, when FuncoLand was around, I was in elementary school. We didn't have ID in elementary school.
Well, I did. I had an identification card thanks to my mom, so.
I never had. My first ID was the ID from Memorial Junior High.
That could work too. That could work too. But even before then, like, there was no such thing as, like, making parents escort their child to the FuncoLand or GameStop, and then if they like the mature game, they don't buy it for them. So, but parents, it's the parents' responsibility to begin with. But once until the parent buys the game, that's it. They know what to expect from a child's behavior soon after that experience. So.
And I just thought about this. San Andreas, when it first came out, they actually edited the game and then re-released it.
Hot coffee.
Huh?
It was hot coffee.
What about hot coffee?
It's an incident that happened with the PS2 version and Xbox version of the original releases of GTA San Andreas, where Carl Johnson was having sex with a girlfriend to get to that casino heist, and one leads to another. You see them having sex on the bed right in front of you.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. So the game got edited because the game got edited and
it was modded pretty much. It was modded to that point. And
the thing is, retailers wouldn't even take San Andreas. I tried to sell San Andreas back to them. They're like, "Hey, that's the unedited version. We can't take that."
Mm-hmm. I lost that copy.
So unfortunately, the remastered version is probably going to be the edited version.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about that till just now.
Yes.
But if you've never played these games when they first came out, I'd say play them. I'd pick it up if you can obviously afford it. But me, like I said, I still got Grand Theft Auto 3 somewhere back there on PS2. But like I said, all 3 games I've beaten the story mode of. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, 4, 5. The only Grand Theft Autos I never finished the story mode of was Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories.
Yeah, those were on PSP at first.
But then they made it to PS2.
Finally, yeah.
So yeah, but like even Chinatown Wars that originally came out on Nintendo DS, I finished that also. So again, it sounds awesome that these games are being remastered. They look great. But just new graphics is not enough to get me to buy a game that I've already completed the story mode of. Next, coming up, did you hear about jabs between KFC? Was it KFC? Yeah, KFC Gaming and Turtle Rock Studios.
I know that KFC came up with a new game console machine. That was like a hyped up thing back earlier this year. We talked about that, but not this Turtle Rock Studios kerfuffle.
Well, what happened is Turtle Rock Studios released a game called Back for Blood. KFC put up on their Twitter, they put up a picture of Left 4 Dead and a picture of Back for Blood side by side, and they said the right is the poor man's remake of an otherwise great game that came out, saying Back 4 Blood was a poor man's version of Left 4 Dead. Turtle Rock Studios, who made Back 4 Blood, said KFC 11 spices and herbs in their chicken, and they still have no taste.
Hey now, KFC extra crispy selection is great.
Oh god, I hate the extra crispy.
I love it. It reminds me of Popeyes at first. Popeyes is known for their crispiness, while KFC is known for their recipe.
Yeah. So anyway, what do you think about that little? What do you think about that comeback by Turtle Rock Studios?
Well, KFC it's been dominating for decades in the fast food chicken industry, so it's. I wish I have KFC in my neighborhood that's affordable, but But other than that, Turtle Rock, Back for Blood. If they want to team up with Valve and call it Left 4 Dead 3, now that'd be great. And then after that, we'll never have that kerfuffle between KFC and Turtle Rock. But
well, I don't think Turtle Rock owns the Left 4 Dead games. That's why they had to call it something different.
yes,
As a matter of fact, I'll check it right now.
yes, Valve owns the Left 4 Dead franchise.
Who owns it?
Valve, I believe.
Okay, so yeah, so obviously, but there's all these zombie games out there. There's even like Zombie U, which came out on the Wii U. I love the Left 4 Dead games. That's something I would go back to. That's also something I never completed.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead. I mean, it's good to play with others online, but not complete strangers because you don't know what their motive is. Because think about this, like I told you before about the certain gamers can be very racist or very unloyal to you because of the way you talk, whatever in the game. So stuff like that, like I understand, like we all play with each other with different kinds of colors and shapes and sizes of people, But then there's these people out there who are very just like you don't want to deal with them because they don't want to deal with you, and that's why I don't like the random experience with Left 4 Dead. So.
Okay, I love teaming up with people in Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. Unfortunately, the only campaigns I didn't finish, Left 4 Dead 2 had like 15 campaigns, 4 levels each, and like 10 of them were like DLC.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually.
I Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 for the PC.
Okay, well, anyway, Left 4 Dead's a great game. Back for Blood, can't say because I never played it. I never even seen gameplay of it. But I do think Turtle Rock Studios, if you want to talk about who had the better jab, I think Turtle Rock Studios had the better knockout than KFC's jab. It's like KFC jab Turtle Rock Studios, and Turtle Rock Studios did that to KFC.
Well, I like KFC more than Turtle Rock because even though it's expensive as hell to order online of KFC, I'm willing to spend $100 over Back for Blood of the $60 because I spent $100 one time on chicken. I got told what do you told that because it was chicken was getting expensive.
Was this before or after inflation?
This is like during the pandemic from last year.
Okay.
Because last year things were going up, like chicken, beef, eggs, and chicken, especially if you want to get the decent quality, quote unquote, and the KFC selection of crispy costs like another like $5 or $10. Then you gotta order the sides, and that's another $5-10 there. And there's also tip, taxes, fees, service fees. All that cost $185 at least. It was ridiculous. It was like, I will never spend this money ever again until I become a rich motherfucker. But then
I got KFC near me, but actually their service has been pretty terrible. Recently, like one time they didn't even have original chicken; they just had extra crispy.
Yeah, because the extra crispy is not as popular among most Americans. I'm not sure why. That's usually for black, like the predominantly southern, dark skinned black people, whatever, black African descent. The innocent. That's because chicken. We have a lot of chicken joints all over my neighborhood. You got Crown Chicken, KFC, Popeyes. You got some no name chicken, you name it, we have it all. So we love our fried chicken, especially if it's extra crispy, like KFC's chicken selection. So that goes away very quickly.
Well, KFC's been pretty terrible recently. I do know a new chicken store is opening up. A new chicken restaurant is supposedly supposed to be opening up soon, like a couple blocks away from KFC. So I guess we might have down here. We might have some place to get good chicken. But then again, chicken I heard is one of the items that cost a lot since. Thanks to inflation.
And the pandemic during that time, too, that caused the inflation. Well, technically speaking, if you want to go economics, play economics for a second, what happened is that Trump overdid it on the stimulus checks, and if Joe Biden follows soon after, which is earlier this year, now they see why chicken and beef is all increasing very quickly and that's unsteadily. So that's one of the reasons why it's expensive to buy certain fast food or clothing, even, or stuff like that, because lack of,
It's not just that. Like I saw, gas in California is up to $7.50 a gallon for regular.
Yes.
It's $8.50 a gallon for premium.
And
$8 a gallon for plus.
It's a stimulus checks. It's a tax, pretty much.
Yeah. So but the thing is, I felt like since why not bring politics into this? I was going to make a joke about Joe Biden anyway. If Trump had served his second term, if he had won re-election and served his second term, I feel like he would have known what to do to. Things never got this bad during the early stages of the pandemic.
Right.
And him being a businessman and him being, bringing manufacturing jobs back, I felt like he would have known what to do to get us on to give us back 2019, basically. Mm-hmm. Would it have happened right away? Probably not. But I felt like he would know what to do, and honestly, we would be a lot better off with a monkey running the White House than we are with our current president.
Pretty much.
Did you even see any clips from his town hall? Joe Biden's town hall this past Thursday?
I saw clips through CNN's channel during shows.
I don't know how much CNN edited it, but Joe Biden was talking about issues like stocking issues. Not stock. About. Yeah, I heard about that, but we were talking about supply issues. Joe Biden was, and he goes, 40% of the inventory comes through the port from the West Coast through the ports of Los Angeles, and what am I doing here? He said that out loud. What am I doing here?
I saw that on TV. CNN had the balls to put that there, knowing that they're going to get flack for it.
So, to all the people that voted for Joe Biden, do you feel stupid yet?
No, it was election fraud, way election fraud. I mean, it's beyond belief election fraud because there were too many ballots to count election night. It was overflowed into the system where those add-on votes were, and most of those add-on votes were just artificially voted in. So whoever or what group did it, or groups did it, or organizations did it, they did a damn good job of making sure Biden wins that election through false advertisement, false allocation, false calculation. One against another, you get
I still think there was enough people that voted him in legitimately.
That too. That's a small factor.
And those are the people I'm talking to when I ask if they feel stupid yet.
Well, I doubt it. I doubt it's not the people because there was plenty of Trump voters voting in last year. Now I wasn't voting. I refused to vote in the 2016 and 2020 elections respectively. But after this year, last year I said I want to vote this year for the mayor. So for the mayor, which Kurt Sawilla is running for mayor. But other than that, of New York City, aside from New York City, Joe Biden should have She should have never been president. Maybe as like a official for some sort of local government. That's about it. But
And also the cornholio thing that you were talking about when he has his hands clenched like this at his sides. Some people said he looked like he had like he looked like he had invisible jetpack on. Maybe that's what he was doing, and he was trying to get it to work with the thrusters so he could make a quick exit from his circus.
he sounded like Boba Fett from Star Wars.
I'd be better off with Beavis and Butthead as president right now.
Yeah, but like reliving the Do America movie. I should buy that DVD. The Do America.
You should. I have it on DVD.
Might cost like $40 right now. I bet because of after what happened.
I don't know how much it would. I don't know how much it would cost right now, but like the whole Beavis and Butthead collection, which had their collection from the '90s, their collection from when they came back in 2011, and the movie, I got that for like $60 in a DVD box set.
All that include the movie as well.
Yep.
All right, that's perfect. Okay, $60. But
that was back when I moved down here in 2018. Well, I moved down here in 2017, but that was in December.
Right.
So that was like 2018, beginning of 2018 when I found it. I don't know if it's went up since then.
Okay. Speaking of toilet humor, there's also other series called Drawn Together. That I bought the poster over there. I think you've seen them many years ago. The poster, the series, and the DVD all cost like maybe about $80, $75 because it was separate at the time. But then when the movie came out years later, they put the series and the movie together in a package. But this time it's not without the game series behind it. Like there's a game inside the DVD that you can play on, like a board game, whatever. So, but no 3D glasses for all the explicit materials. So you have to make it yourself. The 3D glasses.
So, I guess moving on, I just gotta find out where I was. Okay, Nintendo Direct pricing for Nintendo 64 and Genesis games. This is a huge issue. If you want the ability to play Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis games, and the and access to the Animal Crossing DLC on your Switch. Before Nintendo Direct was $20. Now, you will have to pay $50 a year if you're an individual. If you're under the family plan, because you have multiple people in your family that play the Switch, Nintendo Direct used to be $35, but now if you want the access to the N64, Genesis, and Animal Crossing DLC, it's going to be $80 a year. People are very upset because this is far more than they expected for the price to increase just for some Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games. It went up. Let's see, it went up $30 a year on the individual plan and $45 on the family plan every year. What do you think about that? Do you think that price increase was?
I heard it was $80 for the family plan a year.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It used to be $35, but with this new, if you want this new stuff, it's going to be $80 a year.
If you have like eight, what's the family of groups consist of 4 or 5 or 6 people?
I think it's 8 people.
Oh, so if you have 7 of the friends, then you'll save what?
But the thing is, it's not gonna be friends. It's gonna be people in your family, because it'd be on the same Switch, obviously. And
that's not there.
And even if you're gonna say, okay, well, I'm an individual, so I only have to pay $50 a month. That's 2.5 times what the original price for Nintendo Direct was. I want the N64 games, but if I have to pay $30 extra a month, I'm not going to go out and get a Switch. I'm going to get the cartridges myself.
And
You
you
know,
spend more money with the cartridges, but you know you're going to get the better deal with the cartridges.
right, but the thing is, at least, even if I have to pay $30, $40, let's say, for Super Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64, and I can't play it online, at least it's a one-time charge of $30 or $40. And there's some games, like GoldenEye, that's going to be like, you know what, let me check price charting.
I spent like $50 on GoldenEye used.
Really? But, I had that game since it was new. I don't remember I don't remember what my replacement cost though.
I bought mine back over 10 years ago. So back then it was a very big deal to buy GoldenEye.
GoldenEye 007.
GoldenEye.
Nintendo 64.
Come on, sing with me, James. GoldenEye.
Yeah, like, say you want to play GoldenEye, it's right now for $25 used on price charting.
That's Tina Turner reference, by the way.
I'm gonna look up the Mario games while Dr. Games 101 subjects us to his bad singing.
Yes, I like Tina Turner every now and then, guys.
Too much information. Let's see. So, Super Mario 64 is $30 loose. Mario Kart 64 for Nintendo 64, that's $40 loose. And you're probably saying, well, it's $30, $40 for those games. Yeah, it's $30 or $40 once, not $30 extra a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so, and the thing is, I just get a different version of Mario Kart. I'll get like one for the GameCube or something if it's cheaper. But the thing is,
if all were remasters, a different story.
Yeah. Well, they offer online playing, but Nintendo's online service is already is behind Microsoft and Sony because you need like Bluetooth on your cell phone to use their voice chat.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
Built-in service on their console itself.
Yeah, so, as a matter of fact, let's look up Star Fox, because I know that's on their plan. Star Fox 64, that's $20 loose. And I'm just going to look up one more game for me, because I want to get this game when I can afford it. Toe Jam and Earl, Panic on Funkatron, that's $15 loose. So, again, these games, they would be great, but they're really not worth the money. If you have your old systems lying around, I would say hook up those systems and get these games. At least you're not paying at least you're not paying $30 to $50 a month or $30 to $45 a month when you could just pay for these games one time and play them all you want.
Yes.
On a subpar online service, because let's be honest, Nintendo's online service just doesn't match up.
I don't know what Nintendo's thinking of. They're very greedy at the same time. They're very disoriented and blindly optimistic. And I'm not trying to say that they're being cocky per se, but they're overdoing it with their services that they're trying to provide to the people because they know that they're third place in the big console wars for many decades now. Well, not many decades, but at least 10 years now. Because before Xbox and Sony PlayStation came along, they were the number one, or at least considered to be the first in place. And no matter what system it is, Genesis, Coleco, Atari,
Nintendo wasn't around when ColecoVision and Atari was out.
You know what I mean? Like they were still.
Yeah.
They were still.
So it was Nintendo and Sega. Nintendo was usually number one. When the Dreamcast died, Sony entered the market right before Dreamcast died. Xbox or Microsoft entered the console market right after Dreamcast died. So Nintendo went from battling with Sega to battling Sony and Microsoft.
Yes, and they dominated it after 5 years.
So, and I think in 2000, after the N64 was. I know when N64 first came out, and Nintendo was criticized for still using cartridges when consoles like Sony and Sega were using discs, or were releasing their games on CDs. And then, like, GameCube came out, and, yeah, GameCube had these, like, microscopic discs, but it still wasn't the same.
Yeah, those mini discs.
Yeah. So, then they scored big with the Wii. Then the whole office went to hell with the Wii U. Mm-hmm. They didn't even know. It's like the whole marketing department had a lobotomy one night. Because I was talking to people like at Sloman when I worked at Sloman's, and this is 2016, and they still had no idea what the Wii U was. I was talking to my manager, and he's like, the Wii U, and I brought up the Wii U, and he's like, the Wii U, what's that? I'm like, that's Nintendo's newest console, because the Switch didn't come out still for like another year. I go, that's Nintendo's most current console. That's the one with the tablet as the keyboard. And he's like, and my manager goes, that's what that was? He's like, I played that at GameStop on the there in the kiosk. Mm-hmm. He was playing the Wii U and he didn't even know what it was. And this is 2016 at the tail end of the system. It's like, Nintendo, how did your marketing budget go down to zero?
Well, what I heard from other people, based upon other news reports, people say that they thought the Wii U was an add-on to the Wii, or from the Wii, at best.
Yes.
At best.
Yes, that's. I heard that misconception also. From other people.
Bad marketing indeed.
No, the Wii U was a great system, or at least I think it had the potential to be a great system. But just something happened those years with Nintendo's marketing.
Yes. The dark days of Nintendo.
And I think, honestly, if the Switch didn't become a big hit like it did, I think Nintendo would be like in dire straits.
And they'll have a better service eventually after a while from that system as well, the Wii U.
Yes, so... Yeah, but anyway, back to this online prices, $30 more a month for individual accounts, $45 more a month for family accounts. No one was expecting the price to jump up that high. Everyone was expecting like a $5, $10 price increase. And there's really no reason, like I said, when you compare what these prices of these games cost, the loose cartridges cost online, there's no reason to pay, $50 or $85 or $80 a month for these services.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I understand.
Because even if you have to buy a Sega Genesis and Nintendo 64 console, let's say it's $100. Okay, that's $200. But individual family account for a year is gonna be $600. You can spend $400 more on N64 games and Genesis games, but at least you're not paying continuously. That's the big issue. Everyone was shocked because they didn't think the price would triple what the existing online price was. And honestly, I don't think it's worth it. I was really surprised. I was like, okay, this is something worth buying a Switch for. But when I found out what these prices were, I was like, yeah, no, I'll just buy cartridges.
Oh yeah.
And play the games I want myself on the old hardware. Speaking of Nintendo's online service, the N64 controller is already being scalped. Is that it? Is being scalped. It's already people are selling the N64 controller that works on the Switch for like hundreds of dollars.
Damn, the original N64 controller.
No, this one was going to be what to play these N64 and Sega Genesis games. They made a controller that was just for these games.
Oh.
And that was going to connect to your Switch so you could play, Sega Genesis games with the 6-button controller, N64 games with the normal N64 controller. But people bought these controllers up, and they're selling them for like hundreds of dollars.
Hey, Triple J, can you hold on for a couple minutes? I need to use the restroom again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell people what I think about this. Okay. Yeah. So honestly, I think we should have seen this happening. I blame retailers because there's got to be a way retailers can figure out who's buying this for who's buying this to use, who's buying this to scalp. And I think, if someone's ordering 2, 3, or 4, maybe they want to play with family. If someone's ordering 20, maybe they shouldn't be allowed to buy that much. I don't know if that's something that can be done. But, yeah, these controllers now that you would have had to buy, that would have been another expense anyway, to relate to the topic we talked before. Now these controllers are costing a lot of money. And I really think there's got to be something that can be done to prevent this from happening. And with all the scalping that's happened recently,
sorry about that.
Don't tell me there's something that can't be done to notice the difference between a customer buying it and a scalper wanting to flip it for 3 times what they spent. What do you think of this scalping thing? I think the retailers should have been ready for something like this.
Well, ever since the start of the pandemic, everything went to digital or online in order to buy certain physical products, specifically in gaming. And we see a trend here where scalpers see this as a buy-in tool, and to literally just sit there in their pajamas, ordering 20 of these things for and sell it for $100 after that. For each of these 20 items or more, because it's supposed to be a limitation on each person per household, and Amazon does it, Walmart does it, I bet, hell, even Box.com, the new company, because they sell these games for a certain amount of prices, and they just don't think. They think that people are going to be very conservative with their desires. Like, no, people are going to buy as much as they want. And that's the thing, though. If you don't show limitations to these products, then people are not going to take advantage of it. So that's their problem, is that they should limit the online transactions. But even though, if they do that, because people have IP, those VPNs and hacking capabilities, so what I'm trying to say is that they should have some physical and the rest in digital, like online services and stuff like that.
That's exactly what I said. I said, if someone's buying 2, 3, 4 N64 controllers, okay, maybe they want to play the, GoldenEye with their family on the online service. If someone's buying 20 N64 controllers, that's not for personal use. And for the Sega Genesis games that are just 1 or 2 player, again, if someone's buying 10 Sega Genesis controllers, either that's the most klutziest person there is that has like the slipperiest hands in the world, or it's someone who's going to sell the controllers for a profit. And I think the retailers should basically put limits on these things. Hey, you can only buy, the N64, you can only buy up to 4 controllers per customer. The Sega Genesis, you can only buy 2 per customer.
Or 2 every month or some stuff.
Yeah,
like
2. Yeah, there's
It's limited time, of course. So
right, for a limited amount of time, and then you could buy more. Or you could just say, hey, I know I ordered 2 controllers. I need another one because my, 1 controller broke. And I want to play a 2-player game with such and such. Take but then again, I don't know how easy it would be to reach Nintendo.
Nintendo doesn't have no direct email. They have to go through their forums online and submit a ticket.
Right, that's the thing. They should have easier It should be easier to contact, because then they could do something like this, Or if someone orders it, they could say, "Hey, wait a minute, didn't you just buy 2 controllers yesterday? Why are you buying another one?" And a person could be like, "Hey, if it's a legitimate reason, okay, we'll have this shipped out to you as soon as possible."
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that we have to do that, but that's usually when scalping stops.
Yeah, Nintendo service altogether, at least they have something to contact you towards them. Xbox and Sony, I'm not sure about Sony, but definitely the Microsoft Xbox division. They have a phone service for the last how many decades now, and I like it. But the problem though is that for the last 3 years up until earlier this year, you weren't able to contact Microsoft Xbox directly through phone calls anymore because of the pandemic and such excuses they make, quote unquote. I really do hate these companies because when it comes down to the online, not online service, but the phone service, because they expect people to think that, oh, they're too stupid to know how to use the product, or they think they were too nincompoop to know what's going on, how to use the Xbox Live service. And yes and no, depends on the situation. But then all of a sudden, the actual customer service representatives don't know a thing or two about Xbox, and they say they're gamers. I'm like, that don't make any sense, because the way they portray themselves in these phone calls, they're like, what? Who? Where? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know what's going on. So Nintendo's at least has something that's stringent. They understand what's going on, and that take it, that type of stuff. So.
That reminds me of a story a video game reviewer said once. But anyway, I still remember when you had online. I don't know if you still have that video up when you called Xbox.
Oh yeah, that was
and you were arguing with that woman.
Yeah, that was deleted by the rapper Jocelyn Mundell. I hate that guy now.
Remember me and a couple of your friends were listening to the phone call, and one of your friends was like, "I love how she says she has nothing to do with this, and you're pressing the issue."
Yes, but she has to understand too. She's the front line. She's the front line of the war between the customer.
But she already said that she couldn't help you with what you were going through, and you were still.
But they're so inflexible. Like, how can you be a multi-billion-dollar company knowing that your product will falter eventually, or service will falter eventually, and you expect me just to still pay $60 a year for the service? I mean, who are you fooling? You know?
I'm just saying, when me and a couple of your friends, I guess from Xbox Live, listened to that phone call that you showed. That was a good time. Unfortunately, there are people who are nincompoops, as you use that word. There are people with nincompoops who are work in every profession. I'll tell the video. This guy was reviewing, I think, Nitro for WCW Nitro for PlayStation.
Okay.
And he said he was actually in a game store for something else, and then the guy in front of him asked for Nitro, and the reviewer was like, "Oh, I forgot tonight was the night it was coming out." So he was at one store. He asked if they had any in stock. They were all sold out. They sold all 50 copies.
That sucks.
He goes to a second store. That store only received 8 copies and was all sold out. But they said they were expecting some more tomorrow. So he leaves the store. I know one store he visited was KB. He's like, okay, he goes, 2 stores sold out. I know now I only had one option left. He goes, 2 if you count the Walmart Supercenter, but there you were lucky to find a clerk who knew what a PlayStation was, much less what new games came in that day. And he talked about how he had to go to Toys R Us, and while Toys R Us was starting to become sold out, he got like one of their last copies before.
It's a side effect of what happens when the employer and the employee loses trust with one another, and then the quality diminishes over time because of that trust. Because my
It's not even that. It's more like it also could be the employer, whoever hired the employee, not training the employee.
Of course, that's what I'm trying
Like,
to do. That's what I'm trying to lead up to is the fact that based on my experience working in these type of fields of work in services like the fast food and all, um, they they don't train their employees. They do train their employees back then, but now in today's world, it's like fuck it. They don't do much of that because they don't even play with their
no,
employees.
they want to hire someone who already knows everything.
That's
Like when
stupid.
I worked as a telemarketer in Rockville Center, when I joined that security company in 2010, I was being interviewed by my boss, and like I wanted to know everything about the company because you can't sell something if you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Hmm.
And this was different. I left the chimney cleaning company to join the security company. So I'm like, okay, well, do you have, what can you tell me about the systems that you want me calling businesses trying to sell? And she's like, well, you can read this. And she gave me a couple pages, and I'm like, this does not explain what I'm selling.
You gotta read it.
No, the security system company, it wasn't just one thing. I knew like four or five things my company did. Four or five different items like security cameras, video intercom system, um,
Infrared.
uh, not infrared, but maybe infrared, but like keyless entry where you like can use a card to enter instead of needing a key to stick in a lock.
Okay.
They have those sensors that you can just use a card instead.
Motion sensor.
Not motion sensor, some kind of card reader.
Oh, okay.
But but the thing is, how am I supposed to push this stuff if I don't know about it? And they just never, and so I just had to try. Hey, if you got questions about it, why not let me send my boss over? He can answer all your questions about it. So it's not always It's not always. Sometimes it's just the employer not taking time to teach the employee.
Yes. But I want to say further, what I'm trying to explain earlier was that yes, there has to be some sort of trust. I was just trying to say there has to be some sort of trust, and also proper communication between the employer and employee. And when that's established very well for long periods of time, the employee of that company will distribute the better service or product or both to the customer very well with ease. And we had that kind of service back 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But for the last 15 years, in my perspective, based on my actions I take as an employee, I kind of destroy that trust with some of these employers. And they know, but here's the thing though, as an employee, what do you expect me to do if you're not going to let me work for your company after all these months? Because I told my first official job, Subway sandwiches in over by American Sullivan Road, whatever the restaurant is now. I told Mr. K, I call this called K for now. I said, Mr. K, I told as early as May or June, not even April at earliest, that I'm going away to college. Now that failed back in August later on that year. So I asked him as late as late August if he help me get work for him again. He couldn't do much. So I said, thank you, Mr. Lewis. I understand you're not having work. It's a pleasure and have a nice day. And just give me bullshit after bullshit. Most of these employers don't understand what they're doing to their employees, and that's where it all started. In my perspective, of the downfall of the quality of work and reputation started with being acquitted all the time, and that's what happens. It just it it's not your fault as a worker exactly. In my perspective, what I experienced is just that you try to explain it to them like, hey, you guys are fucking with my money, or you are giving me the proper respect that I need for this company I work at. And I'm trying to give you as much time as possible to what I'm doing, as much resources to work with you and stuff like that. But you just, you know, That's how I
Hey,
feel. Yeah.
I can relate to that. Back to the full-time job in Rockville Center, the security company. Um, my boss wanted to know why sales were down. I had worked there for like 2-3 years at this point. She wanted to know why sales were down, why I wasn't selling as much. And I told her the problems. Listen, you're giving me the same numbers to call over and over. You're limiting what I can call because over time, the first year I worked there, I was able to call restaurants. Later, it came to a point they didn't want any more restaurants. I was calling department stores. Later, they didn't want department stores. They kept axing the different businesses I could call because they just wanted property management companies. Okay, but how many property management companies are there in New York? You know, if I'm making 800 calls a day because this is a full-time, 8-hour day, 40-hour a week job, what? It's going to take me at most maybe a week to call every property management company in New York, and then what? So, I told her, I was telling her all this, and she responded back to me, "Oh, you just don't want to work hard." So I thought, yeah, when I gave her all this reason, she's like, "Oh, you just don't want to work hard." I'm like, well, after that meeting, I was like, so I don't want to work hard. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to go through the motions and milk this company for every paycheck I can get until they fire me. Yeah. And when they fired me, I almost said hallelujah right there inside the office.
You holler what?
Hallelujah,
Hallelujah!
I was.
Oh yes.
When you're fired, it's supposed to be such a sad thing. But when you've been so fed up with that job that you're actually, it's like accent, just to get out of the building. And then, funny enough, so I got fired from that job end of 2014. End of 2014 and first half of 2015, I was on unemployment trying to find a different full-time job. Couldn't find one, so I went to telemarketing at Sloman's. It was at least part-time. And then April of 2017, while I was still working at Sloman's, I ran into my boss from the Rockville Center job, and he's like, "How you doing? What you doing out here?" I go, "I'm actually going to my job. I'm telemarketing at Sloman's right down there." And he's like, "You're selling their alarm systems?" And I'm like, "Yeah, and oil contracts." And he's like, "You want a job?" Right then and there.
Is that a good thing?
Huh?
Is that a good thing?
No, because he wanted me to work on commission only at that time.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna do that.
No, I'm good at Sloman's, thank you. And then Sloman's.
I prefer half and half at best, where I get
right.
Let's say $10 an hour for about 2% commission, rather than 5% commission for no hourly rate. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. And the thing is, at that Rockville Center job, I worked there for 4 years. I never got a raise.
Never got a raise after 4 years?
Huh?
Never got a raise after 4 years, really?
Yeah. I never asked for one. Huh?
Not even $1 raise or 50 cents?
No. I did get bonuses. Like there was one time where the secretary didn't show up for a week. So I had more duties. Instead of just telemarketing, I also had to get in touch with customers, do things that weren't my job. And that week I did double duty basically while staying in touch with my female boss because she said she could do QuickBooks from her home. And she handled the billing and everything. I did get an extra $100 that week, on top of what I normally made because I was doing stuff that wasn't even in my job description. But I was doing it because I was the only one there to help her out.
Okay.
So anyway, back to how How did we get from Nintendo 64 controls being scalped to old work memories?
It's the scalping part. That's why.
Yeah.
The morality of the sales, the morality of the economics of things.
Well, let's talk more about disappointment. People order next-gen consoles like PS5 and Xbox Series on GameStop. They get a confirmation, and then GameStop cancels the order 2 hours later. So you go on GameStop, you order the PS5, you pay for it, you get that order confirmation, keep this until they ship out the system. 2 hours later, your order's been canceled.
It might be because of the chips that they don't have available for the systems. And
Well, I'm not saying I'm not asking why the system's on low supply. I'm asking why are you still selling pre-orders you can't fill.
Good point. It's all about trying to make sure because in my perspective as a business person, for what I gathered from what I learned about profiting and donations and pre-orders, stuff like that, as a customer, not a customer, as an employer or a business person, the owner of the store, if I want to make that money, I'm going to have to sacrifice inconvenience in order to get that money from the customers. I guess you could say that as an employer or as an owner of that company or store or whatever, you're willing to take pre-orders first. That way you determine how many PS5s, Xbox Series X you need the day before they come in, or the day after they pre-order it. So we know, okay, we'll order 10 PS5s, 10 Xbox Series X and S's, and that's it. You know what's going on. But if you don't have that pre-order as like what's going on for the past 5 or 10 years now, you're not going to know how much you need exactly. So it's about saving money and being inconvenient to the customer at the same time.
But the thing is, they should even if they're all say every console they have in the back room already has someone that pre-ordered it differently. A different person for every console in their back room. They should shut down the pre-order until they get more in stock. They shouldn't. People are handing over their money expecting the console next week or two, and meanwhile they're getting canceled the same day that they placed the order. So it's just unfortunately when you try to defend GameStop, this is the kind of thing that that makes you realize GameStop's not really defendable, in my opinion. I want GameStop to stick around. I want GameStop to be, around 20, 30 years from now, if at all possible. But I want there to be good business practices with the customer. If you're just hurting the customer, then yeah, you can go out of business. And I just think that this. I mean, keep in mind, it's not like it's not like, oh, we got a low supply, so we thought. It's not like, oh, we got much lower supply than we thought we were, so we have to cancel these orders. You're canceling these orders hours after they come in.
Yeah.
So I just think GameStop, for a company that's like in dire straits, almost like Blockbuster was 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you really can't be screwing the customer like this. It'd be best to say out of stock or whatever, or pre-orders, are filled for now. It's best to do that instead of having someone pre-order and then getting it canceled.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's all about in the perspective of the employer, business person, whatever to call them. It's all about the impulsiveness to make money first and then worry about the problems later. And that's the idea most employers and business people go through. And I'm starting to see that now as a person who wants to run a business, even if it's a YouTube gaming career of sorts. It requires a lot of effort and time to put in order to gain momentum, for people to donate to you, for people to be loyal to you. And if they trust you enough, they'll definitely will go through these hard times with you. But you got to communicate with your customers at the same time. So what the GameStop should have done, what they should have done is that please be aware that we may be experiencing shortages of the chips in these systems to give to you. So if something happens to where the chips are not in the systems anymore, then we have to refund your money back within a matter of time. Hence the hours after the fact,
Like I'm saying, if they had to cancel a pre-order here or there, that's understandable. But like the story, it's been a lot of people are getting the same story, and it's just like for it to happen so much, stop it.
Stop it! Go home and say, stop it! Stop it! Roar! Roar!
For the company that used to be Funko Land and now they're GameStop, you should know better. You've been around long enough.
Then Goku goes, Kaioken. Kaioken! That's from the World's Strongest movie. Check it out, guys.
Okay.
The Japanese version, not the American version.
Okay. So, but GameStop. I mean, it's like what is everyone that works there? Is it those employees' first console release? Did you not? I understand chip shortages, but you have to think. Hey, we got too many orders coming in that we know we can't fill. We have to stop these orders coming in temporarily.
Most of these business people or owners or employers, they're mainly boomers. They don't know, they're still memorizing the new technology of today. And not to say that they're incompetent, but it's just that they need some help with newer work from newer support. Like, they hire a assistant manager that's in their late 20s, which is very hard to find, I have to say. Because let's face it, most of the gamers or people of today are many gamers who don't have no skills. And how are you gonna train up this guy from scratch? If the guy never experienced organizational skills, soft skills, communication skills, so the newer workers are incompetent still as a worsen, but the ones from earlier in the matter, the earlier generational workers / employers, they can help with the matter by saying that, oh, we know what's going on with the services, and just be like, oh, we're just gonna let things fly off the handle and that's it. We'll see what happens after that. And then example like what Donald Trump would do. I started to politics again, but Donald Trump's way of doing things as president is that he will let things fall off the handle and will fix it afterwards. And look at
at least the difference between Donald Trump and GameStop is Donald Trump at least I and most people had confidence that whatever did break while he was in charge, he could fix or he knew how to fix.
Yes.
And again, I'm not even talking about like lower workers like cashiers or even store managers. I'm talking about like people who are running the website. Because that's where these pre-orders were coming in.
Okay, the website. I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Someone
just as a disparage though. That's why GameStop's having a hard time with that, because every single store, if they want to pre-order in person, especially, they don't have a certain amount stringently available in live time. Because when you go to those online GameStop store, what you go on is to your local community store. Meaning that, like, you type in your zip code of the local store. My zip code is, here in New York City. And in this part of the city, they'll have, like, 5 consoles available, 2 controllers, 1 memory card for PS2, and, and plenty of Pokemon games from, like, green, blue, yellow, orange, and gold, and silver, and you name it. Like, they'll have it for that one store. But the other store, you want to pre-order an Xbox Series X that has only two consoles, and there's like 20 people asking for that same console in that same area of that store. So they don't know how to coordinate properly with all these special forget-abouts. They forget to create fail-safe systems behind the matter, and that's what they lose at because of the incompetence is that bad.
Oh, I mean, I don't even think it's that, because usually, like, when you order from GameStop, you don't even have to put in your zip code until you're checking out. But the thing is, okay, say I go to the GameStop online, the GameStop closest to me, like that's 28 miles from my house,
Yeah.
and say I order an Xbox Series X and they don't have it. Why can't you get why can't you go to some unknown city in Delaware that has a GameStop and see if they have it? Some unknown city check out other GameStops and see if they have it, even if it has to be shipped from a different place.
We also understand too. What you're talking about is if they have pre-orders at the store locally, but over on the internet on their website, yes, it's like that too. But it's a nationwide. They have a nationwide warehouse, at least somewhere.
Well, I am saying also that these cancellations were coming in from people who placed the order online.
Okay, sorry about that.
But I just story time again. When I used to rent games from GameFly. I remember one time I wanted to rent Celebrity Deathmatch for PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I lived in New York at the time, so Pennsylvania was like my hub. GameFly had 6 different locations, 6 different warehouses. That was so, you order the game from the hub that came closest to you, you wouldn't have to wait as long for the game to come through the mail.
Right.
So I wanted to run Celebrity Deathmatch. The Pennsylvania hub didn't have it, but the Las Vegas hub did. So the Las Vegas hub had to ship the game to their Pennsylvania hub. Then Pennsylvania shipped it to me, and they said this was to cut it down because if Las Vegas had to ship it to me, it would have taken longer. Maybe it would have. I don't know. It seemed to take long enough anyway. But, I'm saying, look at GameFly. They can do it, and they had, it. Like I said, I wanted to rent a game. My local hub didn't have it, so they went to another hub that did, and got that game to come to me. Then when I sent the game back to Pennsylvania, it was up to the GameFly staff to ship it back to the Las Vegas hub. So I'm just saying, why can't GameStop do something like that? If one store doesn't have a console, call the local stores around you in your city or even state and see if they have it.
Yeah, the difference between GameStop and Toys R Us, at the time, that is before Toys R Us went on service, Toys R Us has been around for decades prior to GameStop. So what happened is that Toys R Us had a system that was developed within the company over time, and whatever's not available at any of these stores in New York City, they'll have a warehouse somewhere in the Northeastern, the Midwest, the West, the South, the North, etc., etc. So it's like, that's what's going on. But obviously, back then, in the 2000s, everyone was buying their games in person. Like I did. I bought the Xbox 360 Halo 3 edition and a Halo 3 copy altogether for $500 at the time at the Toys R Us in Valley Street. Now it took me an hour and a half to get out there and then back home. Extra hour and a half to get back home and go back back home. So what I'm trying to say is that it's different times, but the different times led GameStop to be irrelevant, and they failed to create a fail-safe, interconnected system of sorts. So.
Okay. Yeah. And the last topic I have for tonight, talking about shipping problems, the Walmart shipping fiasco. Lots of people are ordering. Lots of people are having problems getting anything they order from Walmart. RGT85, a YouTuber, said he tried shipping. He tried getting the new Switch OLED system, and he ordered it from Walmart. It took forever. The status never changed from preparing to ship. All of a sudden, he was moving, and even though the system hadn't been shipped out yet, he called Walmart, and they said, "No, we can't modify the shipping address that you gave us. When it gets shipped out, it's going to go to your old address. Your only recourse is to cancel and order again if and then put your new address as the shipping address if you can get if we're not out of stock. And he just ended up canceling his order. And it's just shipping problems have been kind of consistent for Walmart. I had a problem with this, and it wasn't even with games. It was I was ordering T-shirts, ordering single color shirts like this. First they used to be like $5 or $6. Now they're up to like $10 each. Thanks, Biden voters. And then I ordered shirts like on the 3rd. They were supposed to arrive the 9th. The 9th came and went, no shirts. It took to the 15th for these shirts to arrive.
Have they told that they could do the COVID? They could be up to 10 business days or 15 business days?
No, no. When I ordered the shirts, they said these shirts will arrive sometime on the 9th.
Exactly.
And
the 9th.
And even after the 9th came and went, they never updated the shipping address, the estimated arrival date.
That's strange. They usually do that
until the shirts actually arrived.
Oh, okay.
So what? Yeah. So I was ordered. So I don't know what it is with Walmart. I don't know if it's shortages. You can't say it's a chip problem with when it comes to T-shirts.
Those microchips that Kathleen Albert was talking about years ago.
Yeah, so it's and you could say, well, you could say it's like a maybe it's a staffing problem, maybe it's not enough delivery drivers or whatever. Okay, why couldn't they let me know that? Why couldn't they let me know? That the shipping date had changed. The estimated arrival date has changed. And it just so. Do you have anything to say about this topic?
Well, I want to explain and talk more about the Walmart shoppers as far as like what we're talking about. But with that experience, just your experience, that's very rare in today's world. If this happened recently, that's very rare because usually in any online shopping experience of the online store, especially if it's both brick and mortar and online, you're supposed to have an order status, an order number, address, phone number, email, and what items that you bought for that particular order. And they'll tell you when it's going to ship out. And it will say between 7 to 10 business days. Sometimes during COVID, it can be up to 20 business days. And that's what I was told over the phone. So basically, if the customer service that you call it to ask for shirts said this to you, then they should update it to their. You should tell them to update it to on their website too. But it's all about keep on tabs with your companies that you do transactions with. Because if you don't tell the companies what's up, why do you feel like you have to not buy anymore from them? They're not going to listen to you. Right. But if they see a record, they'll see how much money you spent. Like for example, me, I spent at least $3,000 on Xbox games, services, updates, DLC, microtransactions, maybe once here and there. All this stuff. It has to be at least $3,000 so far, and they see all of that over the decade or and a half almost. I mean, doing all this stuff, so they had to listen to me because I'm one of their biggest customers, or technically a regular customer at best. So, but if you're just some not no name.
Hold on.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. He has to take care of something. But if you're a no name, if I want to continue the matter, if you're a no name, then after a while, you wonder to yourself, like, why would the company refer to you to their products and services? If you're going to buy them once, and that's about it. So, yeah, Walmart can be a doozy, but Amazon, has to know what they're doing. So, Walmart Walmart should have thought about this before going online, but that's what happens when you don't have enough people working for you. They have to hire people with better wages, better time with the wage, that make it last long, whatever. So, and after a while, going from job to job, place to place, what's the point? You go on welfare, go on, collect money from the government, and you just get a fraction of what you earn, yes, but that fraction adds up after a while. You're like, wow, I would rather not work for a very long ass time, and I get like, instead of 1,000 a month from working, I get 700 from working. 700 just to stay at home and play video games and donate to other charities, stuff like that. For thank goodness I have the money, right? That's how I feel. My morale as a worker diminished over time, and after a while, you wonder to yourself what to do, what to say to these employers that the wonder why you have been gone for the last several months, if not years, from the workforce. When they see your resume.
I'm back.
Yeah, so James, I was saying while you were gone, I was saying the fact that what's the point of continuing doing services for a company that doesn't care about you after a while, or doesn't care about their customers, because they see a record of you buying stuff from them, and all of a sudden, like, oh, we gotta treat this guy better. But if you're just a nobody who just bought one product, like, a year ago, and you complain about them not doing a proper shipping service, they're not going to listen to you after a while. But but yeah, I was trying to say for the last 5 minutes while you were gone that it's getting worse out there with the employee morale at these retail and also fast food restaurants. Short staff, short management, mismanagement, bailouts, too big to fail. Who wants to deal with that stuff? As a worker especially. But with my Walmart stories, or not Walmart stories, but there's public stories out there about Walmart shoppers where there's this one guy. It's not somewhere on YouTube. He deliberately went on this. He found out the speaker's code. You know how those speakers, the Walmart shoppers, they attention Walmart shoppers here, there, down there. Like that type of those speakers. He found out how to do the coding of the speakers. So he said, "Attention, Walmart shoppers, 9/11 was an inside job. You thank George W. Bush for it. Thank you." And he did it for the last 10 minutes in different speakers throughout the store. This is back in the 2000s. I was like, people were like, "My God, what was that?" They're like this. And then there's also this other Walmart shopper on a scooter. Dude, this woman, it's either has to be a woman. Her backside is so big that the seat of the scooter is in the middle of her, up there, and it's wide. Her butt is so wide, and it was hanging out like cottage cheese.
Oh, jeez.
It was a picture of it. It was a picture of Walmart.
Oh, jeez.
And I think it was Onision who made fun of these Walmart shoppers. That's why I was able to see them. He said that's going to be Amazing Atheists in 5 years.
Maybe.
This was back 3 years ago, 2 years if you were to take, before Onision was exposed by Chris Hansen and shit.
Okay, so yeah, so I didn't complain to Walmart, so obviously, I should have. It's just. But at the same time, part of me wonders how much was this due to short staffing and short, needing workers if they need workers, and how much of this was just opposed to, people not knowing what they were doing. Like I said, you couldn't even update your website. Like you want to talk about customers getting into it with companies. I remember one time, actually a few times, when I ride the Long Island bus, Nassau bus. So this was Nassau Intercounty Express, not MTA. Sometimes, the bus wouldn't read the transfer correctly, or you would get charged when you should have had a free transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wrote down, the name, the number of the bus, the route it was taking, and the time and date it happened. And, I'd email Nassau Intercounty Express because they had to contact me on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, I'd be like, hey, Um, I was on your N70 at 3 p.m. this afternoon. The N70 to Melville. I should have had a free transfer, but instead I got charged another $275. Well, at first they never got back to me. I had a third complaint, and I didn't expect them to even remedy the situation. After the third complaint, they messaged me back. They said, "Sir, we don't handle this. If you got charged when you should have had a free transfer, you have to report it here."
Wow.
Okay, so I reported there, and luckily every time I had a problem where I was charged when I should have had a free ride, they'd end up sending me a MetroCard with one ride on it. Because they'd say, "We checked our records, you were charged like you said, so here's a free MetroCard. For the $275, here's the $275 that we were reimbursing you."
That's good. Well, it takes days though for it to send to you, right?
No, it would be within a week of me. It would be within a week of me stating what happened.
Yeah, it would. Here in New York City, MTA New York City Services, back 10 years ago, when you submit a complaint to the MTA, they'll accept your contact us form. They'll tell you, they ask for the bus number, bus route, your name, your address, and phone number, and such, all that good stuff. And it'll submit to you, and it will get an actual person talk to you back via email, saying, "We're sorry, this happened to you, that happened to you. Here's something for you," and that's it. Move on your way. Now, all of a sudden, during the pandemic, you complain to the matter that you cannot travel free without a mask. Because if you want to take the bus now here in New York City, anywhere you go, you have to wear a mask, and wearing a mask is required for the last several months now, going into a year and a half now. And I'm like, that's not making any sense. You're telling me as a citizen that I have to oblige by something that's stupid by default, and you want me to follow that thing, knowing that I'm paying $2.75, $3 one way to go to some place in a mall or my workplace or some shit like that. Get out of here! Don't tell me what to do. And my employer is doing this, and any employer that I work for now is going to tell me I need to wear a mask. And I was like, okay, if you work at a fast food or something like that, okay, why not? Or if you work somewhere where you handle food, okay. But I'm not doing any of that stuff if I was working in furniture or ramp agent at airport, whatever. All this stuff is stupid because they're overdoing.
Not to mention, it's been a year and a half now. They got vaccines. Anyone who's going to take the vaccine anyone who's going to take the vaccine will have taken the vaccine by now.
Yes.
So if you're so scared of your own shadow, and you're so about COVID, you probably got the vaccine already. So what business of it is it yours that anyone else takes the vaccine?
Yeah.
It's just like those people. "Oh, I got the vaccine. Why aren't you getting it?" What business of it is yours? When did you become my personal physician?
And people these days don't understand that if a government is promoting and enforcing a law about taking one vaccine, why not they can't do but the same thing with the diabetes or with AIDS or HIV and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that the government never went overboard with any other vaccine. But they're going they never went as much overboard with any vaccine as they have with this one. Why is this one so different? This isn't the Black Plague. This isn't Ebola. This isn't Ebola. This isn't E. coli. This isn't It's something that if people were and like I said, since vaccines are available, anyone who wants it can get it. And if you're really so scared that you took it, great. If you really, I really shouldn't say that. If you took it, fine. As long as it was your decision. But people who, are saying, "Well, I took it. Why not you?"
I'm better than you if you don't take it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all the topics we have to talk about. Anything else you want to bring up before we end things?
Not necessarily, no.
All right, so this was episode 32 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. Our next episode will be, let's see, our next episode will be November 6th.
Oh, 6, okay.
November 6th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be returning back to our normal time on Twitch. Do check my About section because talking about shipping things, the last two topics, I have a price charting store down there. I sell all kinds of video games, old and new. I actually have to update prices tomorrow. Also subscribe to me on BitChute. That's where I do Let's Plays if I don't have time to do a stream. But I'm also going to be streaming a lot more often, at least at night. So make sure you follow me on Twitch so you don't miss those streams. Dr. Games 101, anything you want to promote?
Not necessarily. You'll just check me out on my YouTube channel, Dr. Gates 101 Gaming Channel. Just YouTube search it, and you'll see all my recent activity, ranging from political content as well as gaming content.
Okay, so hopefully you follow me on Twitch, and hopefully we'll see you for the next podcast in 2 weeks. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.